Yeah, I got my Facebook page up, so whenever it pops up.
Yeah, let's go. So, greetings to the people, the supporters. Welcome to Beyond the Algorithm. I'm your host, Victor Vinciant, and we're here to talk about life beyond the algorithm because that's where reality exists, not in this little box that you're even looking at. We just come here to talk about it. And today, I got a special guest, Manuel Hill, aka Brother Night Shift. And
Yeah,
we're here to have conversations that focus on or amount to ending the gender war. So I want to go ahead and give you a standard round of applause for even making it here.
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so yeah, man. I before I started this stream tonight, I know we had a couple conversations. We talked about value, you know what I'm saying? We've been dialoguing back and forth over social medias, Facebook specifically. Mm-hmm. And like, let's just lead off with that, man, because like all these conversations still end up to what really happens outside of social media, and things that make sense on social media don't necessarily make sense in the reality. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, where do you want to begin? Introduce yourself to the audience, and you know what I'm saying, we can get it popping.
Well, man, like you said, Manuel, I bullshit a lot, but there's a lot of real shit that comes about, and you know, seeing what my man here has been talking about when he's talking about accountable masculinity, you know, men having conversations with men about men and everything else surrounding that man is absolutely necessary. And I've dabbled in a lot of that myself. And to the overall point, you know, the reality of the world versus what's presented on social media, there needs to be a constant revolving conversation about that. There's been a lot of time spent on in the gender war for a very long time, and I think that's a overly saturated conversation. We really need to talk about what you're talking about, and that's reality, the real world versus this social media stuff. I definitely want to dig into that.
Let's get it, man, because you know, one of the things that the reason I decided to just say, you know what, we need to just end the gender war, right, is because we got a lot of unqualified people having conversations that they have no business in. You know what I'm saying? And one of the things that I wanted to lead off with, you know, based off of our previous conversations, is that we got too many single people talking about marriage. And we don't have enough married men talking about marriage.
You know what?
In the social media space, what do you think about that?
So I think one of the issues is that a lot of people that are doing the work, sometimes they just don't got time, and I get it, but there are a lot of people doing the work, and there are a lot of people in the marriage and doing that are just not tapping in. So I understand that if you don't want to take part, cool, but I'm going to compare that to something else that's going on, right? So, like you said, married men need to start taking part in this conversation. 20 years ago, a lot of straight men should have been taking part in the conversation as it pertains to the changes in the world with, you know, homosexuality, LGBTQ. A lot of straight men should have been taking place in that conversation. And people say, yeah, a lot of straight men were. They had a lot of negative stuff to say. No. A lot of men just like, you know what, that ain't me. I ain't that. I ain't worried about it. It don't affect my life directly. Whatever they got going on over there, cool. Well, now do y'all know that there's gay men and women having conversations about what it means to be straight? You mean to tell me people that are not straight are now about to redefine that for y'all? So to my man's point right here, when it comes to marriage and when it comes to even singledom, the people partaking in that conversation need to be veterans in that shit. Yep. Simple and plain. They need to be veterans. And like you said, single people deciding they want to take place in the conversation with marriage, I mean, maybe they can take place, but they can't be leading the conversation. But what bothers them, and I've noticed this in my experience on social media, what bothers a lot of single people is when married people get into the single conversation. What they don't understand is that we can have both, because we went from one to the other. And like me and you said when we chopped it up earlier, we went from one to the other and back to the other. You know, so we get to take places, we get to talk, and I've had people tell me shit like this, and you can give me this. People said, "Oh, well, you've been married 3-4 years. It's a lot done changed in the single world since you've been married." Shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. And then you've been shut up. Now I will say, if you've been married 20 plus years,
you out of there.
Internet culture, dating site, principally, you still do have some value to the conversation, but you didn't have to deal with the new medium. So the principles are still the same. The medium's the difference, and that can be challenging in the dialogue. But outside of that, married people, we do get to control that conversation. So husbands, get on the mic, man. Get on the cam up, mic up, tap in, weigh in, because a lot of women need to hear the married man's perspective. And I know, and I'm gonna let you take it, because I know they gonna give pushback on that. Well, all the married men out here acting single anyway, so they don't even make a difference whether we hear a married man is cheating, and you know what I'm saying. So why would we listen to him? They gonna always have some pushback, because they want to take place in the conversation that they ain't qualified to have. They just want to so bad. They just want to be a part of it. And social media has made that a thing. Social media has made it to where everybody gets to take part in the conversation, whether they qualified or not. And therein lies an issue.
Yeah, I look at it simple, man. How you gonna hate from outside the club and you can't even get in? Like
you don't even know what they're doing in the club. You don't know what they're doing. Everybody's telling you what they did. The only thing you know about them that club is when somebody come out and they tell you what happened. But you still don't know.
Man, I broke down the dichotomy of why people are where they are and can't attract what they want. You know what I'm saying? Or what they think they deserve, rather. And generally speaking, the most noise about marriage is being made by people that was raised by unmarried parents.
Oh, yes. Oh, and I take it a little step further. So, and I'm always going to give my history. My parents met, had kids. They didn't get married, but when they split, they got married, because both of my parents came from marriage and knew that they should have. So what they did was they said, all right, we still got to do what we got to do. We know what we need to do. But then, even though my birth parents never married, I had step parents, but I had grandparents that was married. All my aunts and uncles were married. All my brothers and sisters were married. My elder brothers. So you do have to see it. You need to be under it. There has to be a level of I don't want to call it grooming, but a level of influence directly for you to even understand the value. The only people that are talking about they don't understand the value of marriage these days is people who literally weren't raised in it.
Yes.
If you were raised in it and around it, you already know the value.
Yeah. Well, I pay attention to the people that criticize. I don't pay attention to the argument per se. I always pay attention to what people react to. Mm-hmm. And I start asking questions. And then I'm like, well, why you even got an opinion on that? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like sports, right? Whatever team you follow is a team you follow. You don't care about a team in a separate division like, if you're a hockey fan, why do you care about baseball?
Yeah. If you don't watch baseball,
if you don't watch it.
Yeah. But you want to comment on it because you want to be a part of the conversation.
Correct. And that's what it is. Because it's like, even down to when people say, I'm single by choice. Well, why are you in a relationship conversation?
Yeah.
If you're single by choice, that means you're happy with your choice, right?
No. See, that's the
not
bullshit.
Necessarily.
See, that's what they say. They happy with their choice.
That's what they say.
Man, look, bro. Ain't nobody complaining about nothing that they're happy doing. No, you don't you can't
say that again. Say that again.
Nobody is complaining about nothing that they're happy doing, man. Like you're not complaining about dating when you have success dating. You're not complaining about making money when you have success making money. You're not. But you're not complaining. It's not. Yes. It's not. Yes, I expect NBA players to bitch about the things they deal with here and there within the game. You know, sport. I expect them to complain. I expect NFL players to complain about the refs. But did they overall, while they're active, are they overall actually complaining constantly about the game? No, because they're doing what they love. They're doing what they enjoy, and they're successful at it. That's what it is, you know. So, I mean, but like you said, the conversation leaders are dudes that ain't. And bro, it's sick to me, but also that audience is abundant. See, they're so based on what me and you are saying, there should be no fresh and fit. How on earth could dudes that are unsuccessful, that were unsuccessful in dating, and have never been married, even remotely lead that conversation and amass a following? Because there's a large, loud group of people just like them that need to be catered to.
My boy Chris, he not on right now, but he talks about the loud minority all the time.
Yeah,
because it's easy. People, like you just said, man. Like me and you have a lot of the same talking points that go beyond the algorithm. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, while y'all here, make sure you go to YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. The loud minority is always going to have a conversation. Yeah. And unfortunately, the reason why married men haven't been on the mic is because they don't really live on social media as it pertains to their marriage, you know? So social media to me is an open pool of people that just gets to bleed on each other, you know what I'm saying, with their failed experiences. And that's why, like, I have a problem with a lot of people confuse what I'm doing with my channel as being part of the manosphere, or
oh my God,
or something red pill. I'm doing something completely different than that. My content is bigger than the red pill, is bigger than the manosphere. And I'm saying that because they are echoing each other's talking points. They're just regurgitating the same things.
All of them. All of them. They all spin the
same trauma bonding. Like what I hear is a lot of trauma bonding.
That's all that's what it is. I saw you on with a couple of brothers in your group the other day. I saw you on with some brothers. I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and I commented on it because I've been on with those brothers before too. What's his name? God, I can't think of their names right now. But you were on with two other brothers, man.
Yeah.
And they kind of defend the real pill, but they were hearing your points, like your points you was making. They couldn't really refute them. The red pill. Everybody wants to. They want to compare it to the barbershop. But there were two things that happened in the barbershop. The barbershop did talk a lot about the women, the games they play, the bullshit you got to deal with as you navigate dating as a young man, old man, whatever the case may be. Yes, that was in the barbershop. But the barbershop spent way more time giving men that smoke so they could like really calling you out on your shit so you can navigate in these shark infested waters.
You get roasted by people you don't even know.
Yeah, because it was expected of you to go out. See, the manosphere and red pill and super idealistic women have a very similar. They're the same. They're the same side of the same coin. They want the world and the opposite gender to be easily accessible to them and the way they want. So the red pill guys and all them, they want women to be back in a way that they find easy for them to access, control, relate with, etc. The women on the other side of that want the exact same thing for them. Neither one of them just flats out says, that's what women are. That's what men are. We accept that for what it is, and we navigate it accordingly, and we find our match and our tribe in that. Because that's all it is. You're not going, women, y'all ain't gonna change the nature of men. There's nothing y'all will do. Nothing. We will not evolve as a species to where all of a sudden men are gonna be these girlfriend,
we're not gonna
friend,
be what women, we're not gonna become wives.
No, we're not going to be what it is y'all think is the most ideal. And men, we're never going back to a time where women totally depend on men to survive. And then they're making their choices based on that. That is done. It's over. Don't complain about it. It is a wrap. It will never come back. Unless unless an asteroid hits the planet or something crazy, and then we got to start back from ground zero, and like you got to go way back. It's not happening. So since that's the reality, navigate it accordingly.
Yeah, you said something. You mentioned briefly about the LGBT community.
Oh,
do you
man,
want to expand on that anymore?
So here's what happened a couple of years ago. So one of my first things I did on YouTube was I wanted to talk about the down low epidemic, right?
Okay.
And in that, and you know how YouTube is, man, when you start digging and getting videos to use for content, it will fuck up your own algorithm. You will ruin your own algorithm going to dig for stuff to use.
Yeah, for real.
So I had lots of content, and I kind of absorbed it, and it leads down a path, right? So you got all the down low stuff, and that's what I used, and that's what I needed. But then these other conversations exist where they're literally gay men, and there are women that are straight women that are having conversations about it's called basically, I can frame it as straight men having gay sex. And that's an oxymoron in itself, because you cannot be a straight man and have gay sex. Because if you're a gay man posing as straight having gay sex, that's what it is. You cannot be a straight man having gay sex. You are no longer a straight man if you have gay sex. But that's not the conversation is now saying you can be a straight man, and just because you having sex with men, that doesn't mean you're gay. There's no amount of nuance, there's no amount of perspective, there's no amount of psychology that even should be allowed to change that definition, because now you're muddying the water to the point where women, this is going to affect y'all co-sign this bullshit most of the time. Women that want to choose between a gay man and a straight man won't even have the language to do so, because it will no longer exist, because it's all blurred. We've lost precision in language. And part of it is that LGBTQ stuff. And I don't have an issue with people that want to live how they want to live, but you don't get to blur those lines. So men, straight men, got to partake in that conversation, because we're the gay, we gatekeep that. Oh, whoa, no gay man can tell me what it is to be straight, just like I can't tell a gay man what it is to be gay. Matter of fact, I don't even go as far to ever label anything as gay. I just talk about what's not straight. That's it. I don't got to tell you what's gay. I can just tell you what's not straight.
I like that you captured that, because one of the things that I've said is that in recent history, the masculine man is now in the closet where the gay man used to be.
Boy, you don't want to offend nobody by saying, I ain't finna. You just don't want, like it has become that. Like being a crunchy regular dude is now the thing that it's like you almost feel like I can't do that. Not me, and more than likely not you. But there's a lot of dudes that just like I'm just a dude, and that's all I want to be. I don't want to do none of the other stuff. But if you say you don't want to do all the other stuff, well, you insecure.
Yeah.
They have now flipped it around to tell us we insecure because we don't want to suck dick. I know that's an extreme. I'm just saying, but you're now insecure. You're insecure as a straight man If you don't,
yeah,
what happened?
Like
how did that happen?
Let me tell you how much it's flipped though. Like I've done a lot of thinking about this, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about misogyny from a married man's perspective, right?
Yeah.
So misogyny is known as the hate for women, right?
Right. That's what it's supposed to be.
Okay. Now you know what blackface is, right?
Yeah.
Let's put them side by side.
Mm-hmm.
So in the LGBT spectrum of this conversation that we're having, we got the drag community, and you know what I'm saying, and the men that poses women,
Mm-hmm.
Cosplay, no different than blackface, and here's why.
Mm-hmm.
In most of those cases, those men are raised by women,
Mm-hmm.
and they got a couple of different paths that they can take. They're either going to be gays or gangsters. It ain't no in betweens. You know what I'm saying?
most of the time, you got your outliers, but they rarely become LeBron James. They rarely become LeBron. They rarely become LeBron.
For every one Dwight Howard, you know what I'm saying, you gonna get some bangers. You know what I'm saying, out of that, right?
Yeah.
So in the context of blackface, if we watch non-black people paint themselves black as a costume, there's an underlying tone that they hate black people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And or they consider them a costume enough to just make fun of. Because, like, remember when you used to be a student in school and they try to dress you up like a pilgrim,
mm-hmm.
but you didn't know that was offensive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? All right. Well, in the same construct, the conversation centered around misogyny about hating women. Well, married men are excluded from that.
We should be.
We should be, but we're saying, I'm saying it here because we're excluded from it. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is on this platform. I don't care what the conversation is outside there, because like beyond the algorithm, the men that are heterosexual that like women, we're not trying to go disrupt anybody else's, you know what I'm saying, pleasures and none of that stuff, right? So the conversation about misogyny really stems from women only paying attention to men that don't like them.
Here's what's amazing to me. Here's what amazes me. A large group of women complain about misogyny, this heteronormative society that was set upon them and oppressed them for forever. And there's some truth in it. So be it. Y'all are the same ones that have allowed men to say they are women and out woman or be equal to y'all. Y'all allow that.
Heterosexual men have nothing to do with that.
We had nothing to do with that. Heterosexual men said way back then, hey, bro, y'all tripping. Heterosexual men don't sit around with women that play like they're men and co-sign that. There's not a trans woman on earth that can walk into a room and she is going to be treated the same way as I do my male-born constituents, my counterparts, my friends, my family, my peers, actual men. No, they don't get that. They don't get that. Women have done the opposite of that and then had the actual nerve to complain about men dominating everything. Y'all just allowed, y'all physically and emotionally and spiritually enabled that in its entirety. They allowed it.
Yeah, because we're not sitting around strategizing on infiltrating what women got going on.
No, ain't got time.
Like, we don't go to their spaces to complain about women in their spaces.
No. Well, the red pill community, they
and coming back to that, let me
yeah, that's them. That's them, not us. That's them.
Yeah. So let me break that down too. Like, so the hyper independent woman movement, whether it be boss bitches and, you know what I'm saying, all the other monikers that go along with modern woman, that umbrella of women that fit that's the single mother community, right? And the the counterpart to that is the red pill community.
Yeah.
Because most of those men that are upset with women are generally raised by women.
Yeah.
The men and women that have been raised underneath marriage don't think of they have a different respect for the opposite sex.
Kevin Samuels, we know he was raised by a single woman around
He
all
said
his
it.
aunts because he told you. I mean, listen, I can. There's a couple other names I know, like that. I mean, the brother Mumia Ali, him, like I know his story. He shared it. If I got it right, he was also raised by a bunch of cackling women.
Yep.
I fortunately, I don't have that. The man.
That's what I was saying earlier about the misogyny piece. When women say Kevin Samuels hate men or Kevin Samuels hates women, women raised him. He's the manifestation of women's perception of misogyny. They created him. They manifested him based on the way that they treated men.
They did.
The red pill community was birthed by women.
Yeah. God damn,
just the red pill community ain't nothing but gangster rap music in general.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And those artists in the entertainment industry, they're raised by women. Like if you look at it, like, man, look, you remember the first verse on Cream with Raekwon?
Yeah.
He said, I grew up on the crime side, the New York Times side. Staying alive was no job. I had second hands. Mom's bounced on old man. He telling you she raised him. I took my kids and I went over here. And then the rest of that verse goes on talking about him end up going to Rikers. Well, the rest of the song talk about going to Rikers, selling dope, dealing with fiends, being a fiend, being on drugs, being in crime. You know what I'm saying? That whole genre of music comes from single motherhood. The reality TV genre. It models a single parent, single mother home. Lil Scrappy is a product of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There is a specific behavior that goes with the children that come from that background.
Yeah. And I would say this, and I have different insight. Man, I have a real thorough. My wife made a professional change, and she works at a school that is an alternative one. And there's one common theme amongst all those kids. It's the same common theme amongst all those boys that are warring in Chicago. This now, again, yes, there are a lot of single mothers that do somehow understand the importance of masculinity, male, masculine, healthy man influence, that while they are in a single parent dynamic, they are ensured to make sure they have a community of men around their son or sons, so they get that grooming and that necessary influence that a young brother needs, so he doesn't end up looking for fathership and brotherhood in the Crips or Bloods. See, so there are single women that can raise that dynamic, but so let's separate the good ones. Let's separate them out.
That's the exception. We're talking about the majority.
Yeah, that's the exception. We're not talking about that, because a lot of times we're
not talking about the LeBron James. We talking about
the ones that y'all complain about. The ones that y'all complain about. That's just what it is. And the choice of the matter has to be, whether women like it or not, do you try to duplicate that? That's always been my question. You see the results of it. Do you decide to say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and take my chances with it because I know I can do better than what they did? Do you want to roll those dice? Now, but you know, bro, what kills me, they'll always come back with, well, married people produce this too, and married people produce serial killers, and married people produce it. Yes, they're again, those are the outliers in that situation.
Yep.
But so they will always give that pushback because they want to talk about the fringe stuff, not the larger group.
And I'm gonna say this right now. let me get the camera on me real quick. The majority of people that's going to disagree with statistics, data, context, and outcomes are generally raised by naked single mothers. It's just the truth. If you grew up seeing your mama naked, you got a whole different perspective on life.
But yo, this is a scary thing. And I just heard this today. I just heard this today. I don't make this stuff up. Anybody knows that's watching, I don't make this stuff up. Just heard a story of a young brother who had to change schools because his mom got an OnlyFans. Could you imagine in the 80s what we would have done? What the jokes would have been?
Man, look,
all your mom had to do was be cute. And that was enough. Your mom just, if your mama just came up to the school, if your mama just came up to the school and was cute, you was mad about that. Yeah. Could you imagine being 15 and your 30, your 38-year-old, 39-year-old fine mama got an OnlyFans? And how humble do you got to be at school if you know your mom got that going on? Because you don't want nobody to go look up nothing about you. You don't ever want nobody. You listen. Bro. I couldn't imagine me being me and turned up like the way I was in high school. Boy, I couldn't have had no mama that was on OnlyFans. I would have got cooked. I'd have got cooked because I talk too much shit.
Man, people was already making up stuff about your mama and just your mama jokes.
That's it. They just had them. So you give them real material?
Bruh, no way. You know what I'm saying? Like, no way. Nah. Stuffy Jean, she on it tonight. She says, no one wants to roll that dice, but someone ends up being a caretaker. Begrudgingly, and I don't think a lot of single mothers are focused on love at all. They are just surviving. Tell it.
Yeah. Stuffy, she back on the live conversation days. When we get that back jumping, she's one.
Come on back, Stuffy.
She coming back. She coming back. She's circling back. We're gonna get it back up and running. We're gonna get it back up and running. But yeah, man, like I know we
need more women, and this is the thing. Just like we need more married men on the mic having this type of dialogue, we need more women on the mic, being elevated by men. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because it looks one-sided and it's not.
Dude, positive reinforcement has always, we're both military. So we know that there's negative reinforcement that works. And positive reinforcement on the other side of that works. You gotta do both. The problem is, the unfortunate problem is that oftentimes when women speak against women, it's almost worse than when men speak against women. And we're not speaking against women. We're like you said, we're speaking against behavior.
Look, I'm here to bash behavior. I don't care.
Yeah, that's it. We're speaking against
behavior. I ain't got to bash the gender. I'm bashing the behavior. See, the behavior is genderless because dudes can be bitches too.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, that's who raised them.
Yeah.
So, like, the guys that like to go back and forth and argue with women, you ain't helpful.
Man, bro. And I need men to understand the difference between arguing with women and then having a general discussion. We can exchange differences and opinions, ideas, this, that, and the third. But at the point where you as a man have to go, like you're looking for this opportunity to read women. Oh, I can't wait till one of them say something to me so I can.
That's weird.
You're mad at your mom. You're mad at your mom.
Yeah.
You've been holding that in all them years. So you finally get to get back on this woman that don't have nothing to do with that. She has a different opinion and she might deserve that smoke technically. But the fact that you look forward to and relish the opportunity to do that, you are the ones we're talking about. Again, man, I don't argue with women I can't sleep with, bro. If I'm gonna disagree with you, we got to be able to make up later if our emotions get elevated and we get a little angry with one another, then I want to be able to come down from that in a very healthy sexual way. I would prefer. That would be my preference. Me and my old lady, we can disagree for days, and go ahead.
No, you cooking. Go ahead, keep cooking.
Yeah, no, I was saying, me and my lady, we can disagree. We can disagree. And the energy off for about 24, 48 hours. I'm like, damn, okay, I don't like that. But then at a certain point, we gonna come back from that. We're gonna have a good conversation, and after a good conversation, I'm gonna have a drink, and we're gonna sit down and we're gonna eat, and then we get to make up. Man, I don't get that from no goddamn internet interactions, so it ain't worth it.
No, it's like no value in it at all. Like, generally speaking, there has to be a level of attraction for there to be a level of cooperation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and,
it does.
And in cooperation, it's more or less participation. You know what I'm saying? Because like even down to like, you know, like men that are leaders, like we've operated in leadership capacity. We've been in charge of people, projects, missions, all of that, right?
Right.
And you know each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
And you're more inclined to tell somebody, hey man, I'm not good at that. You know what I'm saying? If it's something that you're not good at, let me take it off your plate. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like, we don't have to have a what do you bring to the table conversations. Like,
no, because we observing it.
We observe it
in real time. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, if you run faster than me, or if I pick up more weight than you, then we trade off. That's just what it is. We want it to work. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes down to it, we have to work together. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because the world ain't never been dependent on sisterhood. Sisterhood doesn't exist unless brotherhood exists.
Right.
Because we're responsible as men, as leaders, to set the standard. We can't have the accountability of women and then expect the same outcomes. That we can't expect different outcomes as men with the accountability of women. So the overall goal and what we're trying to do is like, we need to get the right men having the right conversation first.
Absolutely.
Because as my boy Chris used to say, or he still does, if you can't fix the kingdom unless you fix the kings.
Yep. And that takes now. So let me give you a little bit of pushback on that. There's a little bit.
Come on back.
What I've always thought about as far as fixing men means, like you said, the men that need to be having the conversations, leading the conversations, to men that can be influenced by those conversations. Ladies, we can't fix your fucked up baby daddy. we can't fix the dude that's full of shit, that's been full of shit, the dude that's on parole and he don't care about being on parole. We can't talk to him. Y'all talk to your friends, talk to your boys. We cannot. So in fairness, we yes, men need to lead by examples and then be vocal and saying this is what for one of the best examples that we have right now in society. We have a working model of this, and it's the nation. I'm not saying the nation is perfect.
No,
don't get me wrong.
You're right.
It's not about their religious beliefs. It's about they have a masculine presence that is maintained and held to a standard, and it's from the elders down to the boys. So they're all in this. Now. So if you're among those brothers, and those brothers see you straying, those brothers might say, "Hey, man, they might, they let you come to them." They're not up in Chicago trying to fix things in Chicago, in those streets in Chicago. I've always said the things that it would take for men to fix that, the government would have to turn a blind eye and the moms would have to get out of the projects and say, men, go fix it. That's the only way it can be fixed, because men fix men by actually handling men. And the laws of this nation don't allow men to actually handle men. This is not therapy that can fix it. This is not coddling that can fix it. This is none of that. So I would say from the ground up, it has to be men influencing men that are influenceable, that can be influenced, or younger men. And then you just change it for the next generation. So unfortunately, ladies, right now, if you're 40 something years old and you date men that are 40 something years old and you already ain't got a good one, hope that your daughters get one in the next coming generation that hopefully we can influence, because unfortunately we can't fix the 40-year-old dudes that they're not, because they're probably unfixable. I ain't saying always, I'm saying probably. Most probability say that motherfucker's cooked,
man. Yeah, for real. Because my man Herbert Lewis said in order to fix
he just said it. Yeah, that's what you was on the pod the other day. You got to get them while they're young.
Yeah. Shout out to Herbert too. I appreciate them having me on the other day, man. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, like I look at things in a conflict, combat dystopia, and what I mean by that is the worst case scenario, right?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta strap it on, and we gotta go figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Out here tactically, right? So when it comes down to that type of scenario, because that's the worst case scenario that most
Worst
masculine
case,
men
yeah.
do, when you start breaking down who can lead what, you can't depend on men that's been raised by women.
Nah.
You just can't. And it's no shot. It's just
because it's
reality.
not their fault. It's not their fault. I think a lot of times people think when we say these things like men raised by women or women that were raised by like, it's not a shot at you, the individual, because you, the individual that were raised under that, you had no choice in that. But you got to acknowledge that you're ill-equipped to do certain things because you just want, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, if there's, you can't pick up a gun and shoot a gun correctly if you were never trained how to shoot. I don't give a damn what you've seen on TV. I don't care what you've seen on TV. If you don't got, you would have to be some amazing savant to pick up a rifle and be able to fire that bad boy accurately and full functionally and be able to, you have to be trained to do it right and to do it effectively and to actually do what needs to be done to execute on a team of riflemen, marksmen, soldiers, whatever the case may be. Yeah. It's the same thing if we're going to talk about community building through way of family and everything else. It's the same thing. So you're not, we're not shaming you dudes raised by single moms. Just know your place, nigga.
Yeah, yeah, like straight up. Come on, man. Like, let's just be realistic. Like I think generally speaking, masculine men submit to higher information.
Absolutely.
We submit, like a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like we submit to reality. We have to, because if we don't, a man in uniform gonna deal with you. And
I've heard you make that analogy before. I've heard you break that down before.
Yeah, you either gonna have to deal with a man in uniform with some handcuffs, or you got to put a uniform on and become the man in uniform. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to deal with the handcuffs, you're gonna still get a uniform that way too.
Either way. And uniforms only represent order and structure. That's all they represent. They represent training. That's what they represent.
Or correction.
Or correction. Listen, and people like to have these they want to operate in ambiguity in that because they want to feel that they can participate although they're not qualified. I say that to say this. All you people that want to participate in the conversation that you're not qualified for, if your house is burning down, do you want random people that ain't trained firefighters to come save that motherfucker? No, you don't. All you people that want to participate in conversation that you're not qualified for, do you want a surgeon that's not qualified to come operate on you or your child? An untrained surgeon, a motherfucker says, I watched a couple of videos and I've seen some people do it. It can't be that hard.
At Holiday Inn Express.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, you don't. But people, those things are treated as if and based on the critical nature of the situation, we're talking about death and destruction and taxes, right? People tend to say, okay, I absolutely want somebody that's trained or fully experienced or with a lifetime of experience to give me direction and help me with that. They don't treat relationship dynamics, dating dynamics, and community building the same. I'm pretty sure we used to, but we no longer do.
Yeah. And sometimes is it a lack of will or a lack of resources? Because here what Herbert is saying, he said it's both. He said even with mentor programs, it's difficult because there isn't any reinforcement of the lessons they're taught in those programs, and that's because
when they get back home.
Because I was like we like the way we think, the way things happen on social media within the algorithm. It's like everybody can do the same thing, and it's not the truth. You can only do what you have been immersed in, you know what I'm saying? What you have been indoctrinated into, right?
Yes.
Training is indoctrination. And you think about the impact that the military's had on us and just basic training, and then tech school, AIT, whatever your branch of service, right? That changed your life in 9 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever your boot camp was, right?
Yep.
How deeply affected are people that have been indoctrinated and raised by certain parents?
Bro, I'm gonna take that a step further, because I'm gonna take another step further.
Take it beyond the algorithm.
Even if you think, because everybody talks about, well, I just want a healthy co-parent. Let me explain to you. Do you know how much more difficult it is to co-parent effectively when y'all aren't under the same household? Just because I can be honest about it. I've lived this, and I'm seeing the results because my children are adults. I'm gonna say that again. That was a bar. I'm seeing the results because my children are adults. Now, this is no shot at my children. I love them all. They're great for the most part. But I can see where me and mom, when our separate raised, and the culture we had over here when we were together, it changed because she had to adopt her own culture because she was doing her own thing, and I had my own thing going on. And even though I'd say 7 times out of 10, we were collaborators, that 3 times that we weren't changed the overall culture that our daughters would have been raised in to be even more effective as adults. So even though that co-parenting dynamic, the one that I had, I know people would slit their wrists to have it. No bullshit. Like the way man, people would, I had a lot of conversations with a lot of divorcees and people that would have, man, oh man, that was a great situation. But even in that, it would have been better had it been still the whole before. So I say that to say that cultural thing that doesn't exist when you ain't got 2 parents actively, daily, weekly, monthly, year to year collaborating, it has an effect that so just imagine what so to your point, what they said was those mentor programs is difficult because they don't got another mentor back at home. The mentor program has got this thing going on over here, but when they get home, there's no reinforcement of what the mentors are talking about. The mentors would have to mentor the family. Technically, the mentor would have to mentor the child separately and then go back and say, all right, now I'm here with the family. Let me tell you, mom and dad, or whatever. Let me tell you what we got going on and blah, 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 blah. This is what we talk about. So, mom, you got to follow up on this. Because if you don't, the kid just going to do what they do in the mentor program, and then they're going to come back home and they're going to do what the hell they do. It's just like when you got 2 parents, it's an offset. If mom make them do the dishes, but dad let them don't, or vice versa, then the kids know, okay, at mom's I can do it, at dad's I don't, and blah. And if they don't pick up the value going forward, then it was just a wash. They just playing the game until they get grown, and then they can do what the fuck they want.
That's true. Because let me give the audience an analogy that goes exactly what you're saying. How likely, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely do you think it is, with 10 being the most likely, that obese parents are going to raise fit children?
Fit, I'd say you got 8. I'm being gracious when I say 30%.
That's fair.
I will only give 30% to a person that is obese technically, that it at least used to be physically fit. Because if you got some,
that's a lot of conservative guesses.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because if you got a man, because I've known men, women that they used to be, and something happens in life, you know what I'm saying, and then they end up devolving because they can't physically get after it the way they do, so they don't quite got it. But those people, they still have the lessons. So if they got young people, they wear it on them like, you don't want to be like this, young blood. Let me tell you why. Because I used to be like you, man. Man, when I was even when I was in my 20s, and I would say, what would I have considered my physical prime? Probably like 29. But when I was 25, I had some old heads walk up to me. They look pretty decent for their age, and they would see them honey buns on my desk, and they were like, "Hey, man, man. I see 2 honey buns on that desk, man. You might want to. You look good now. You want to maintain that. You might want to change that up. I had those little. I used to heat up those Jimmy Dean sausage sandwiches in the microwave, and I've had 2 of those and some coffee and a honey bun. And that old dude was like, "Hey, man,
you might want to chill.
You might want to. You young and you can get away with it now. You might want." And I literally looked at those men and said, "You know what? Because they fit the profile I want to look like later, they must know what they're talking about." You know what I'm saying? So it would have been harder to take something like that in if I'm physically fit, and then some big person come and got the nerve to say that, even if they're right. I'm like, man, how you gonna tell me? And unless they can be really honest and say, bro, I used to be like you, and doing that is how I got here. Then I'd be like, and some other extenuating circumstances, maybe. But you're absolutely right, man. It's a 30%. I say 30% chance, and that's on the healthy side.
Yep. And the thing is, it's like we talk most about the exception. Yeah, because the majority doesn't require a long conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Because the exception gives everybody hope.
and the exception also proves that a rule exists.
Yeah.
Because you can't have one without the other. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like if you got a family, going back to the point where you got to educate the entire family. If you got, even if in an ideal 2-parent household, where in this particular situation about raising children that are obese and trying to put them on a fast track to, be fit, you can't do that if the family lives on fast food.
Yeah, no, you can't do it.
Because you have to. So I say this a lot. Parents are always trying to correct their children's behavior before they correct their own.
Yeah.
They make excuses online that they wouldn't accept from their own children.
Yeah.
Like when you think about it, right? Like when we talk about behavior, a lot. That's what a lot of the conversation on social media really is about. When men are describing the worst type behavior for women and women describing the worst type behavior for men. Uh-huh. There's something in those particular individuals that is an enabler of bad behavior. You know what I'm saying? And they'll try to paint the red flag green and then be shocked when that flag that they painted green is still behaving like a red flag.
Because it's a red flag. Yeah. Yeah.
It is what it actually is.
Yeah.
And that's based on behavior and outcome. It doesn't matter what you say you think you are. That's an affirmation. That's not reality.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are making relationship decisions based on affirmations.
Yeah.
Not what the person's behavior actually is. Because, and then when you look at, well, how did they get there? Who raised them? Like TK Kirkland say that all the time. Who raised you?
It's always, man. We are all a byproduct of who raised us. And then, your first influence is obviously your direct influence, which is mom, dad. And then after that, you got the others. Man, here's crazy.
Shout out to Steffi Jean, man. You know what I'm saying? She said, none of my kids are overweight, even though I am, but I have had a fit pass. Yeah?
Yeah. Makes sense. Man, yeah. When one of the things, man, my pops, he's always done this. And I'm pretty sure his parents did it to him. Anything I do, first thing come out of my dad's mouth when he don't agree with that, he say, where you get that from? See, since he was the example,
say that again.
He can always question.
No, your daddy gonna say, where did you get that from? And I've been saying that because that's why I can identify through commentary on social media, like, oh, you ain't got no daddy.
Yeah,
because your daddy wouldn't approve of that.
Yeah, because my dad always say, hey, where you get that from?
Where you get that from?
Because he wants to know. Because my dad's like, no, I'm made sure y'all was indoctrinated. So
Yeah.
you chose to, at a certain point, you just chose to do what the
You
hell you
chose
want,
that.
didn't you? There you
Yeah.
go. There, you know what I'm saying? And so I will say this. There are a lot of grown people out here that had the roots and structure. They just chose to do what the hell they want to. But I would say this. It usually might just be in one facet of their life. It doesn't bleed into every facet of their life. Correct. Unless they just totally reckless and doing whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, tattoos. My dad didn't have that, you know what I'm saying? But he come from a generation where you wouldn't have. You know, when my dad found out that I was partaking in infidelity, he said, "Where the hell did you get that from? You didn't pick that up from me." You know what I'm saying? Like that wasn't his thing. You know what I'm saying? But you know, we have a conversation about using rubbers is the same way. Well, I ain't never used no rubber. That's what my daddy would say. Where you get that idea from? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, come on, Pop. You know, my dad, every time I'm trying to make a baby. What was you doing? Well, Dad, I don't want a bunch of kids. You know what I'm saying? So my dad was he wanted to build. He wanted to marry and have a bunch of kids. I wanted to marry, have a couple, and get the hell on. So, and he groomed me more like him. So I've chose to do. But so to your point, yeah, man, who raised you? And whoever raised you, if they know they really set that example, they ought to be able to come to you and say, where you get that from?
Yeah, man, like it's so evident. A lot of people don't understand that we can see you. We can see why you are tied to certain disagreements. We know the difference, because one of the things that I look at in diffusing arguments is that facts are supposed to diffuse arguments. The inability to accept facts is really tied to a lot of the conversation associated with people raised without a father. Because like your dad tell you certain things. Don't argue with people, respect everybody. You never know what other people are capable of, because everybody can hurt you. So he's telling you in a sense to, like, mind your business is about your personal safety.
Yeah.
It's about your reputation as a man and the care that you take in it. So when you look at a lot of people's behavior, you can just tell that there was no male influence in certain people's lives.
Right.
And
or whatever, or if there was whatever the male influence was, it wasn't
discipline. So here's the thing, right? This is brings me right to what my brand is about. You got people talk about mindset all the time, right? And they talk about emotional intelligence and all this other stuff. Number one, if you don't have no emotional discipline, you don't have emotional intelligence. Okay, let me say that. Because emotional discipline gives you patience. It is patience to discern, how do I need to approach this? You know what I'm saying? What level of tact do I need to have? I need to choose my words properly.
Right.
And in that, you have a different experience with people all the way around. You quickly can discern who you can talk to, who you can problem solve with, who can accept reality as it is based on probability versus possibility. Right. There's a lot of people that's caught up in the exception conversations. Like,
wait, hold on, back up. I want you to go back.
Come on back.
I want you to repeat that. I want you to repeat what you just said. People that can accept what versus what?
Probability versus possibilities.
See,
anything is possible.
I love that you say that. I love that you say that, because you know why I love when that said.
Come on.
There's a whole. I'm gonna use this example. There's a whole lot of women. You ask them who their favorite Marvel character was, and it's good old Doctor Strange. And why is it good old Doctor Strange? Because Doctor Strange deals with the meta. He deals with the things that are magic. He deals with the things that should not be possible. But you get somebody like Iron Man, where everything is probabilistic, where everything is based on science and reality, where everything is based on math and equations. And I'm not saying that some women aren't fans of that. I'm pretty sure they are. But it's just the range and the possibility versus probability. Yeah, possibility versus probability. There was a Facebook conversation I was having one time, and I told a woman that the probability of them meeting a certain kind of man, that Yada dude was talking about,
Oh my
men
God.
need to show up. Yeah, he was like, men need to basically show up with X amount of thousands of dollars to have it.
You talking about which conversation, one he had with Angela Yee or the one with Anton Daniels?
I don't know. I think it was Angela Yee, but Yada Awakening was talking that bullshit, and he's talking about how much money a man needs to have to meet a woman, and blah blah blah, and how much. And there was some women that were sharing that, and I said, y'all are almost y'all are paying, y'all are lining this man's pocket by sharing this bullshit. I said, you will. I said, I can say confidently that you are 37 years old, you will not meet a man that's capable of doing that. It's not happening. And anyway, you don't know, it's possible, but I'm like, it is highly improbable to the point where it's not worth discussing. When the probability is so high that it's not likely, it is not worth the conversation. And there are a lot of people, but it's either women or men raised by women, that believe in possibility. Possibility? But I don't spend no time talking about possibility. I don't spend no time talking about possibility. Probability. No, man. That captures me all day.
Because possibilities are endless. You can make them up.
Yeah.
Probability is based on proximity.
Yes.
Can we both make $1 million tomorrow? Sure. What's the probability of that based on what we've already done? What groundwork have we laid in the last hour?
To tomorrow meet to get $1 million dropped into you, like do you know, like you said, proximity to those with those resources, having something of value to where somebody wants to pay you that, having an idea on brain ready to pitch that is valuable enough for somebody to say, all right, we're talking about net million. We're not talking about access to $1 million to get somewhere. We're talking about paid. It's again, like you said, possible. It's very possible that I can get in my truck, go down the road, somebody's having a flat tire. It just so happens to be somebody super resourceful. While I'm changing and helping them change the tire, I say something funny or something quirky or a quote, and that person says, man, I'd like to hear more about that. And then they hand me a card, and then all of a sudden, boom. It's possible. But if I was to live my life hoping for that possibility and not doing the work to get a more probable outcome, I'd be homeless.
Yes. Man, come on now. Hold up, man. Let me hit you with the other joints. We got that's reality.
Yeah, it's just reality.
Probability is in reality. You know, like, which goes back to when we talking about, are there not enough married men talking about marriage, right?
Yep.
So the probability and possibility in that is the reason why the arguments exist, because most people are like, all of the arguments are based in possibility.
Right.
Probability, that's people that's like, okay, got it. And this is binary thinking. You know what I'm saying? Contrary to what everybody else is thinking out there, possibility is non-binary thinking.
Yeah.
You
probability probability is binary. Yep.
Yep. Probability is absolutely binary. You know what I'm saying? Meaning, like, you either right or wrong, yes or no. And it comes down to, like, there's only two mindsets, bro. You either disciplined or undisciplined.
Yeah.
Disciplined thinking is rooted in probability. Looking at your entire environment, your own capability, your own talents and confidence in self, and proven outcomes, proof of concept. Your proof of concept going to tell you your left and right limitations, how far you can go. You know what I'm saying? Possibility is just write it down and it can happen. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Can't you manifest some things? Yeah, sure. But you had to deal with the probability of a lot of things before you could even think like that.
Yeah.
If you don't have anything and you're still over here talking about what you deserve based on whatever value you have. Let me come back to the value part, right?
Oh shit! Here we go. Oh shit!
Let me talk about the value part.
What you deserve. What you deserve based on the value you think you have. Oh,
yeah, get out of here.
Hey. What do I deserve based on the value I think I have?
Yeah.
Hey man, I cook a mean brisket. Just all you gotta do is give me the restaurant. Now I don't know how to run one. I don't know how to cook on a masket. I don't know none of this stuff, but I know this brisket is so bad that it would shut. Now I know this, but I would have to proof of concept, put in the work, vision board. I would have to do everything to get this thing up and running. Anybody that would give me a restaurant today and say, go in here and cook this thing for hundreds of people on a regular basis, and we know we're going to be successful, it would fail. Because all I know how to throw a net smoker back there for me and my family. I don't know nothing about how to actually do it on scale. And until I prove that I can do it on scale consistently, and it's consistently the same, day in, day out, night in, night out, week in, week out, month out, it's just a dream. And it's okay that my value, I know you put it up against anybody that you're gonna try, you're gonna say mine is the best. I get it. That's wonderful. But there's no proof that it's actually better than everybody else's. That has to actually be tested. It got to be put through a ringer.
Who's auditing that?
There you go.
Who's auditing what you say is real?
Yeah.
Where your reviews at? Where your testimonials?
You remember in the 90s, I would say, if you wanted to be a rapper, if you actually had some talent, you were telling people, yeah, man, I can rap, I rap. Back then, the only thing you could do is the moment where they said, well, spit something. And freestyle. If in that moment, spit something, well, it was either freestyle or either you had a lot memorized. But one way or another, at a moment's notice, spit something. You do that enough, eventually you're going to come across somebody who want to do something with it. But if all I ever say is, yeah, I can rap, I'm a rapper. And every time somebody said, well, spit something, man, I got something recorded, man. I got to get you next time, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't usually do nothing at the drop of a hat, man. And I ain't got my CDs on me, my tapes on me, man. Unfortunately, you can't prove it. No. So right now, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
And it's strange how like we can accept that analogy, but the same women that fit the possibility spectrum think that they can make a man with 6 other baby mamas be loyal to them.
I was watching something recently. I don't know what it was. It was a woman that was talking about it, and she was explaining why it is, because basically, being the one woman that the dude changed for it's gratifying. That's ego. But it's rooted in ego. But how much of your life would you actually spend trying to prove that this man who has a life of proving that he ain't gonna do that for nobody, how much of your life would you actually spend trying to prove that he gonna do it for me?
All ego. Let me play this video real quick.
The video is chilling. A woman is seen murdering another woman, execution style, in New York City. Now, just hours ago, that accused killer was in a Jacksonville courtroom. More than 1,000 miles away from the scene of that crime, Claudia Banton was captured here on Main Street, north of the Trout River Bridge.
And U.S. Marshals got information that she might be somewhere here in our area. She was arrested during a traffic stop. News4Jax reporter Ann Maxwell was just in the courtroom and joins us live. Ann.
Banton is in the Duval County Jail awaiting extradition to New York. She's charged in the murder of Delia Johnson, who was shot on a crowded street in Brooklyn, New York back in August. And the whole thing was captured on surveillance. We want to warn you, this might be tough to watch.
A woman identified by U.S. Marshals as Claudia Banton walked casually out of a car on an August night in Brooklyn, her hand behind her back. She's seen approaching this woman in a pink dress and pulling out a gun. shooting her in the head. The victim has been identified as Delia Johnson.
Master did not deserve that.
Johnson was a single mother of a 17-year-old girl.
This was senseless.
Johnson's family described her as generous and loving.
She would give you the clothes right off her back, right there and then, no matter where you was. If you needed something, she would give it to you.
The surveillance video shows the shooter walked back to the car after pulling the trigger and drove away. The victim's family said she had no enemies they knew of and was lured to this spot just a few blocks away from her apartment. Witnesses said Johnson and Banton had been at the same funeral earlier that day. A spokesperson with the U.S. Marshals told News4Jax they got information Banton might be in Jacksonville. They put surveillance on her and reportedly saw her get into a car. They then pulled over that car here on North Main Street. Banton was in the passenger seat and taken into custody. She had an initial court appearance this afternoon.
You want to go ahead and agree to return to New York?
Yes.
We'll notify authorities of the state of New York. You're now available to be picked up.
And a spokesperson with the U.S. Marshals tells me the driver who was in the car with Banton when they were pulled over was not arrested. Live in Jacksonville, Ann Maxwell, Channel 4, the local station.
Damn.
All right. Yeah. So I brought that video up because I have a pet peeve, you know what I'm saying, about these things. Because I don't think that women or men per se should be committing that type of violence with each other. Now, the other thing is that this happened 3 years ago. Well, no, it said November 21 when it happened.
Mhm.
And it's 2025, and she's supposed to go to trial on March 28th of this year. She pled not guilty in a recent arraignment back in November. So my biggest issue and pet peeve right now is women assaulting women. So, like, for everybody that's watching, I highlight what women do to each other without men involved. Because the men, like you pointed out earlier, there's certain men we know we can't help. And they're in competition with the same men that fit their behavior, because you attract the conflict that's inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
And you heard that they were at a funeral earlier that day.
Together.
Together. I also saw another video a few weeks back where this girl got stomped out by a bunch of other girls at her own baby shower.
Man.
Killed the baby. So when we talk about the gender war, right, we got to break down where the most conflicts are occurring at. And generally speaking, the entire community, the children that are raised by the single mother community are doing this to each other. You know what I'm saying? You notice, like, even in that short clip, there was no men involved at all, other than the judge and the law enforcement, the men in uniform, yet again, you know. What do you think that it's not being highlighted enough what women do to each other?
Shit.
That's a tough one, ain't it?
What? So you hear it. No, I don't think it is. Because the appearance that the sisterhood is actually this thing that's great and thriving is better than the realities of the situation that anybody that knows anything about a bunch of women working together do something, you're going to always hear a lot of conflict. Always. It just is what it is. I have never observed a situation in life, and I've been a lot of places and done a lot of things where when there were more than two women in the same place, same time, doing some things over a long term, if they weren't at least lifelong friends, and even then you at least hear about it, that there's not some conflict. if I was to compare my peers, my friend group, my best friends, I can't tell you the last time we've had a conflict. I cannot tell you that. And when I say that, I'm talking about 30 years or more in these relationships. I can't tell you the last time there was an actual conflict with coworkers or people that I'm working to get something done with, or men that I'm just bonding with, or we play even pickup basketball with. Dude, I cannot tell you the last time there was an actual conflict. Memory can't even get it, because it's such a rare occurrence in the grand scheme of the majority of us. But every woman that I know that works with women, and multiple women, even in family dynamics and so on, there is, to some degree, there's a conflict. There becomes it just becomes.
There's two sides to it.
Yeah, some of it. Now I would say this. I can say that, has there been some conflict that was quickly resolved in a healthy manner, that was not this festering thing? I've seen that too. But in more dynamics, I've seen unhealthy conflicts with no resolutions than I've seen the healthy ones. Like women get on social media and tell you right now, I don't got no female friends. I shared a video. of a woman who was talking about this, a psychologist, and she was talking about why women prefer to have male friends is because women can trust that at least the male friend, at worst, he secretly loves you. And said, among women, you don't know who you're worried about, who might secretly hate you. Men don't have that. We do not walk around in this world with the people close to us. Men, we don't ever walk around worried, oh man, this nigga I known for 30 years, that nigga might really.
Let me put a definition. Let me put a definition on what you're saying. What you're describing is disciplined men and disciplined women.
Mm-hmm.
Feminine women and masculine men.
Yeah.
Everything outside of that is in conflict.
Yeah.
Because you're going against your nature.
Yeah.
Women shouldn't be shooting each other.
Right. Never.
Men shouldn't be either. But generally speaking, when it goes that far, think about it, right? We talk about men harming each other, right? We talk about children harming everybody else. But nobody talks about what women do to each other.
Yeah.
So in that delineation is part of the gender war, because there's a lot of micro conflicts.
Yeah.
In there. You know what I'm saying? Like the problem solving, disciplined men and women that respect the opposite sex are focused on working together, solving problems, and supporting each other and helping with our best talents.
Yes.
Everyone else is in conflict with each other for a lack of emotional discipline.
Yeah.
And that collage of people that fit that behavior are all raised the same way.
I want to, you talked about the emotional discipline. And so I again, holding men, masculine accountability. One good thing to compare it to is when there's a lack of sexual discipline among either of those groups, it also results in conflict. You get a bunch of men. If you get 10 men together and everything is cool, and you got 2 of those 10 that have no sexual discipline, those 2 of those 10 with no sexual discipline that are still operating in a group either will be removed from the group or cause conflict in the group.
It's communicated.
You either gotta get excommunicated. You either gotta get excommunicated, because if you don't get excommunicated, they will become a problem within the group. And it's the same thing with women, and women have to be willing to excommunicate. That's it, but they don't want to. When there's a mass of women and you get 2 women that are not sexually disciplined, women, y'all got to do the same thing. Hey, old girl wilding out. We got to move along without her. Y'all have to do it. You have to.
Yep. Let me read this. Accountable Masculinity Rule number 5 in the book, Accountable Masculinity, available on Amazon. Sexual discipline. Men must exercise sexual discipline in order to be seen as credible leaders and to maximize their opportunities. Sexually disciplined men are the only trustworthy men. Sexual discipline is defined as the internal self-regulation of sexual urges and impulses and its accompanied decision-making. Sexual discipline is essential to overall health of society. A society that lacks sexual discipline foments distrust and will likely cause negative impacts on the family structure and community integrity. Go get the book.
Now dig this. I don't want people to conflate things.
Yeah, because we got like Stuffy Jean. She like she's saying this. Let me address this real quick. Women talk about what women do to each other all the time. Men are not included in the conversation because it's not about you. This is no different than a bunch of white women sitting around talking about what's wrong with black men. We don't care. And the by and large consumer is men. And the reason this conversation is important is because I care about my wife's safety. Because the likelihood of her bumping into a woman that don't have any emotional discipline is a lot higher than me bumping into a guy that doesn't have any emotional discipline. Based on my own stature and how I move. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not in and out of hostile situations where I got to defend my personal safety. But I've seen women just snap off on each other. So I'm bringing it to the conversation because men care about it. Because most men that are married to a woman. And so we want to make sure that we're having a conversation that says, hey, these are the threats that are out there. We're having threat-oriented conversation about this.
Yeah.
Don't take what we're saying as though it's a negative thing. We're bashing behavior. We're not bashing women. We're not saying women don't say this enough. If there are women talking about this, they're more than welcome to come to the platform. You know what I'm saying? But this is a thing. This is a real thing. People are being radicalized on Facebook. And what I see, not just Facebook, but all social media, what I see is people saying, pull up to my house and we can get it on. And they getting waxed. You know what I'm saying? As soon as they pull up. I'm not seeing that the same way. I don't think women should be doing this anyway, but I don't think women are regulating this. And I don't think they can because they don't have the authority to do so. And if I'm proven wrong, I'm cool with that. But I'm not seeing it. So
I'll back up something you said. You don't think women are regulating this because they don't have the authority to do so. That's absolutely fucking right. In this world, in this society,
yes,
that y'all can't do nothing about it. It's the same thing I say with men. In this world, in this society, we can't actually do nothing about it. You can't actually go put your, like, women can't collectively say we finna go to the school and we're gonna find out all the girls that have been fighting for the last 6 months. We're gonna round up all these girls, we're gonna get them taken out of school, and we're gonna go handle this as moms of the community. Y'all can't do that shit.
Nope.
Just like men can't. So it needs to be spoken about because it's the behavior. It's not saying that women don't talk about it at all. Y'all probably do, but you don't see it nearly as much. It's not highlighted nearly as much as what's highlighted about boys. And I can say this for a fact because I know what's going on in the school system on the high school level. All my children have graduated. All of them are out in the world, and girls fighting is way worse than it was in the 90s. It was almost unheard of in the 90s for girls to get into a scuffle in school. It was the least probable thing. Now it is more probable that girls are going to get into a conflict in school than boys. If anybody thinks I don't know what I'm talking about, y'all nobody's going to tell me I'm lying because y'all
come on the pod. Come on here and talk, because like women fight over skin color. Come on. Like
they gonna say we do too. They gonna say we do too. They gonna say light skin, dark skin man. They gonna say that too.
I don't care. I don't care what they say. because the truth is, I'm talking about what I see.
Yeah.
I don't care if they don't like it. It still don't negate the truth, because women don't like each other. And it's just that if you take men out of all women's problems, women still have major problems with women.
Absolutely.
If you take women out of men's problems, we work together and build championship teams. We play football. We go fishing. We ride motorcycles. We have activities with each other that are founded on brotherhood. That's why brotherhood is a better conversation or more popular conversation that makes the world work. But the things that women are in conflict over are based on vanity.
And they're based on social. See, I've always talked about the difference between the man bond and the woman bond. Men bond, we typically don't bond over just a social interaction. It usually takes way more than that for us to bond.
Correct.
Most of your friends, you met them in high school, you worked with them along the way, they're former Army, like those, that's your friend. Most of your friend group to this day, that's what it is. You met them in high school or even younger. You worked with them somewhere along the way. They from the Army. Yeah, that means y'all had to grow up. Y'all had to bond. Y'all had to compete. Y'all had to learn, follow, and teach. Y'all all had to experience a struggle together. A woman meets a woman and likes her nails. They have a couple of conversations, and then they go hang out and drink or do whatever they do, and then they can become fast friends. Men almost never meet like that. I don't care how nice that motherfucker haircut is. It's gonna take me months and months and months to say it. By the time I say it, it's not really gonna go anything outside that, and it's not gonna lead to us hanging out based on the fact that I think he got a nicer barber than me. That's not the way we bond. So our bonds are built on something so much deeper that requires so much work to maintain earlier, that later it still exists. Like, and they know this. Like, this isn't a debate. Women know this. They know this. They know it.
Men bond over participation, bro.
Yeah, good or and that's good or bad. There's a good, you know what I'm saying?
You got trauma bonding. You got trauma.
Yeah.
Like case in point, right? Let's talk about my wife. My wife, like she bonded with me based on the way that I write.
Mm.
And she found my mind attractive because it's focused on solving problems, because women are attracted to conflict resolution. When they want to be with somebody long term, can he solve problems? Is part of it too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Can he handle business?
Can he handle business? Whatever language you want to use, right?
Yeah.
The bond is audited and reinforced through participation.
Yep.
You find out if you could really work with this person or not. And it has to be based on something that's bigger than him.
Yep.
Meaning, like, my goal can't be just to please my wife. And most women are not attracted to men long term if that man is only making her his sole focus.
Yeah.
That's going to burn out.
Easily.
Real quick. You know what I'm saying? And whether they say it or not, it don't matter. I don't care what they agree with. I care what they react to.
Right.
And when you sit back and just look at the behavior and samples of it, what's the point in disagreeing with it? Like what's the value in pretending it's not happening?
Yep.
That's the part that I don't understand, because you can't tell me I don't see what I see. And I think that in the conversation about ending the gender war, everything's on the table.
Yeah, it has to be. Because
just like you said earlier, and I like that the fact that you said this, it's when women say, well, talk to your friends. I don't have a bunch of single baby daddies as friends. I wasn't raised like them. I don't know how they think.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't want them around my spouse, like straight up, unless they dealt with their own issues and they had certain behaviors trained out of them. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody can change their behavior. You can't change how you were raised, but you could change your behavior.
Man, what did I tell you earlier when we was topping it up, man? When I went from a married man to divorced, I had to step. My peers were still married, and I was going into bachelordom. I had to go find a new group to kick it with.
You said bachelordom?
Yeah, bachelordom, baby. The baby. I was going, hey, man. Look, I went into it begrudgingly, but I participated willingly. I'll say that again. I went into it begrudgingly.
Yeah,
but I participated willingly.
Yeah, like,
yes.
Hey, look, it's it can be attractive when you got certain advantages. It's not.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing you want to stay in long term, but I'm gonna be successful.
Yeah, but my peers, I knew my married homeboys. We couldn't mix and mingle like we used to when. Hey, I'm finna go kick it with him, and we finna go kick it. We finna go have a drink. It's different now. It's a little bit different now. Not saying that I would have ever compromised them. I wouldn't have. But I was on a different mission at that point in time. And so when you're not on the same page, you just naturally move a little bit different. I wanted to go back to that point you made. We were talking about, we tapped in earlier, that sexual discipline. And what I was going to say then was people oftentimes conflate sexual discipline with their own ideas of sexual morality, right? A man might say, well, you know what I'm saying? This dude, he's cheated before, so you can't trust him or you can't deal with him. I'm like, well, that is this motherfucker always cheating? Every time I turn around at this motherfucker, it's like that's sexual morality.
Every time we see him.
Yeah. See, that's a problem. See, that would be a problem.
That's a problem for me.
Yeah. That's sexual morality, right? You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So if I got a married homeboy, and every time I look up, every time we go on a trip, every time we do something, he trying to go find something, I'm gonna be like, dude, I gotta remove him from my life. Now, also, if I got a homeboy and he confides in me, that's my best friend, and he tells me, man, I've been seeing this thing, I'm gonna warn him, and I'm gonna say, bruh, one, don't ever implicate me. That would never even have to be said.
Leave me out. But
two, leave me out. That would number one, bro. You know better than that. I've been down that path and I've seen the damage it does. So I can say, bro, you don't want to do it. But that's sexual morality versus sexual discipline. The sexual discipline side of it. If I got a homeboy and every free moment he got, he's on what is that site they used to call back in the day? I don't know if it exists no more. They was back page.
What you say, Black People Meet?
Or something, but every time I turn around, I'm talking about there used to be a site where you could look for you could purchase pleasure. If every time I turn around, yeah, it slipped my mind. If every time I turn around I had a homeboy that was married that was on Backpage, I'd have a problem. I couldn't, we couldn't, dude, because you have such a fixation on this appetite to where you have no discipline. You gonna get arrested eventually. There are cops on there. You gonna get caught. Yeah. You don't get the man in uniform. And then I'm gonna ask my homeboy, well, what's gonna happen? See, I ran this down to a dude one time. I said, and it was a guy I used to work with, and he told me, he would go pay to play. And I said, man, I'm not here to judge you. You're a grown man. That's your money. That's your time. You do what you want to it. I said, but is it worth you possibly getting arrested? Oh man, I know where to go. I watch what I'm doing. I said, I get you. I understand. I said, but the one time you get arrested, you can't call your old lady.
You can't call her.
Who are you gonna call? And he's like, oh man, I can call one of my homeboys. I said, and that's even worse because now he's involved in that. Like, I'm like, yo, like, and he was a young dude. We were young at the time. And I said, bro, I'm not getting in your business, but I'm just saying, you got to be smarter than that. And that's just a sexual discipline conversation. Like, as men, we should never be trying to hit everything all the time. You have to be willing to pass something up, even though your urges, even though you physically need a fix, you got to be able to say, you know what? Nah, I'm good. I'll be all right. I'll survive. Either I'll take care of it for myself or I'm gonna hit the gym. Whatever. You got to have it. And women on the same side have to have some sexual discipline as it pertains to discernment. Obviously, you don't want every man on you, and obviously the type of man on you. And then, if your homegirls or your peer group of women don't have that discipline, you got to separate yourself. Like thinking you could be a wife type, and you got a third of your friends that's hoes, and that's not going to be a problem in your future. You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong.
It's going to be an issue. Let me answer this question. Well, let me address this comment from Stuffy Jean. Women bump into men that don't have emotional discipline all the time and die at the hands of men far more, I guess. But please do spend more time on the possibility and ignore the probability. So I'll say this. The men that don't have any emotional discipline, they raised by women. And most of them saw their mamas naked, you know what I'm saying, when they was growing up. I understand that the possibility of women bumping into men that lack emotional discipline exists. Okay. We're not dismissing that at all. Just like men encounter women with no emotional discipline all the time too. All of those people are in the same community. And that community comes from the same root. They're all cut from the same cloth, as far as I'm concerned. So as a married man, I'm concerned about when my wife goes out and she might have a negative interaction with another woman, because this has happened.
Mm-hmm.
Because I see far more women fighting each other on social media. And that is a beyond the algorithm conversation, because it happens in real life too. It's not just on social media. The only reason it's on social media because it happened in real life. So not talking about it is an enabler. Because we all know somebody that fits the behavior that I'm talking about, because otherwise it wouldn't be a discussion.
Mm-hmm. And I think, man, knowing that these things exist, again, there's no way we would have knowing where something comes from. Let me start. Knowing where it comes from, the root of it, is how you get to resolving it. Knowing the root of anything is how you get to a resolution. And again, it still ultimately does boil back to masculine leadership.
Yep.
It always boils back to, because if you have that masculine leadership, and it's filtering down to younger men, and you're bringing it up, and it's generational. These things start to weed each other out.
They do.
There used to be, I don't know what your religious background is, but I was raised in the church, you know what I'm saying? And there was really a point in time in history where if a young girl was in church and she didn't have a slip, an older woman, not a man did not go address that. A man didn't walk up and say, "Hey, sweetheart, you need to go put a slip on." An older woman would walk up and pull that young lady to the side. And the only reason I know about this is because I remember hearing women talk about it. See, I never saw it. I might have saw it, but I didn't know that's what they were doing. I didn't know that's what they were doing, but that's what they were doing. The women used to handle that. Now, y'all ain't handling shit. Y'all don't even want to be called grandma. Y'all don't even want to be called grandma. Y'all don't even want to be called mother. Y'all don't even want that role. And y'all damn sure ain't finna address that girl. Y'all ain't finna tell that girl.
They twerking with their granddaughters.
Yeah, that's not happening. They're not addressing that. And I don't even want women to act like they're willing to roll up and address that, because the women don't want to roll up and address it because they don't want to deal with the conflict themselves. Stop playing. Y'all don't even want that smoke.
I've talked to and coached so many women in this spectrum of this conversation, right? And
they don't even want to deal with women.
They don't. The pretty girls get the worst from everybody else. Mm-hmm. They call each other pick-me's because they agree with men. Mm-hmm. I see the microaggressions. So you can't even get to a spot where that women can accept leadership from other women. They don't even have any mentors. Like, you ask a woman what a mentor, who her mentor is, she's gonna name somebody in her family. A mentor has got to be somebody that's third party, honest broker, no shit, say, hey, like I got to be able to say, hey, Manuel, you fucked up. Manuel, you got to be able to say, Vic, you fucked up. And this is why you fucked
absolutely,
up.
Absolutely.
And you're not, and women are not talking like that to each other. I don't care what
man, true leadership that happens, man, is when that leader, and you got to be a true follower too. There has to be a code of conduct and there has to be discipline and all those things. And again, we can use the military for an example. The respect, there's one thing, there's something that overrides all of it, and we can call it rank, right? Rank has to be respected, period. So no matter who you like, what you like, rank is always going to trump everything. But that doesn't cultivate the culture. The culture is below the rank, where this person is a valued leader. We see him, we being led by, and they're an example, blah, blah, blah. And that same leader can come to you and say, you fucking up. I need you to get it together. And if not, we're going to have to deal with this another way. The follower, the only way you know that follower is a good follower who can then possibly be a good leader or probably will be a good leader is when that follower does not take that personal, can see it for what it is, and says, you know what, Sarge, Cap, Chief, whatever the ranking call is, I got it. I'm going to get back to it. I've been off my game. You won't have to bring this up to me again. You won't like the feeling of being called out on your shit. It's going to hit you in the gut. It's supposed to. I say this, every man needs to be punched in the face. Every boy at some point needs to be punched in the face.
Yep.
I say that because every boy at some point is going to be bullshitting and playing games and popping off at the mouth at some point. And if he does, he needs to be punched in the face. He needs to be socked in his shit. He needs his lip split, or he needs his eye blacked at a certain point. Because
we're only talking about people. Let me say this real quick. Stuffy, we're only talking about people that fit the behavior. If you don't fit the behavior, then there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
Like you could talk about single fathers all day. I don't have no kids, so that don't impact me. Mm-hmm. You could talk about men that don't like women all day. That doesn't impact me. I'm not responsible for those men. I'm only responsible for my individual behavior. So the people that's in the debutante clubs, y'all got to stop carrying crosses that you didn't bear. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not a single mother, then if you're a married woman and you're not a single mother, you shouldn't be carrying the torch for single mothers. If you're not a single father and you don't have any kids, then you don't need to carry the torch for people that don't fit your behavior. And this is what I'm talking about. I focus on social media literacy. I'm only talking about the behavior. I didn't say all women. I didn't say all single mothers. I didn't say all married women. I'm talking about the threats that are out there associated with the behavior. If you don't fit the behavior, it's not about you. Mm-hmm. You only answer to what you can relate to. If you can't relate to it, then it's nothing to talk about. Because there ain't no amount of negative male behavior that you could talk to me about that I'm going to be like, you know what? All men don't do that. I don't give a fuck because I don't fit the behavior. We got to get out of carrying crosses for behavior that don't represent who we are. And what I mean is like all black, all skin folk ain't kinfolk, right?
Right.
We can accept that. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. That part is what the point of the conversation is that disassociate yourself from that, because those are your threats though. Whether you like the conversation or not, the people that fit the behavior that I'm describing are your threats primarily.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, these things have to be addressed in a very direct manner.
Yeah.
Because there's an indirect threat to anybody who's living in this world, right?
Yep.
So you got to address even though it might be an indirect threat, you got to still address it directly and just speak on it. Like it exists. And it's something that needs to be fixed. You know, like kind of like what else?
I say let him die.
You say what?
I say let him die. I say let him.
I have said for years, leave all them ones to the.
Let them cannibalize each other.
Yeah, leave them to the wilderness. Leave them to the wilderness.
Ain't my
because
job.
we can't fix that. We can't fix that.
Nope.
But you got to acknowledge that it exists and that it affects everything around it. You got to.
Yep.
You got to.
Look, man,
and there are single mothers, like there are single mothers who do bear the cross for single moms who are not the same type of single moms, and by that I mean there's a lot of there are a lot of single moms that are single moms because their husband passed away. There are a lot of single moms that are single moms because they're divorced.
Let me say that. This is why I talk about this, and then this is why definitions are so important.
Mm-hmm.
A woman that was married, whose husband passed away, is a widow.
Mm-hmm.
A woman that was unwed, that made children, and was raised by an unwed mother, who had an unwed grandmother. That's what we're talking about. That is completely different.
Yeah.
Like if you never saw marriage, then, which was one of the earlier conversations that feeds into this entire conversation dynamic, you're only basing your alignment with single motherhood based on duty. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And function. But that's not that. You're not that, because like a man, if you were choosing, right? Let's just say you was back in the dating game.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be more likely to date a woman that was never married, or date a woman that had been divorced?
Oh, hands down, if I'm choosing, I want the one that's been divorced.
Me too.
Hands down. Man, your hands down. Like, or if at least not that, when the last time you just had a long-term relationship?
Come on.
When the last time? Man, I used to make decisions based on who I was dating. Like, if she checked all the boxes, let's say a woman checked all the boxes and she claimed to be dating intentionally. All right, wonderful. I like what you say. It sounds good. But if I can test that and you can linger in my bullshit, so yeah, I might test it to see. Oh, you say you're looking for a real significant relationship and you don't want no games played. Well, I might try to see if I can pull some shit. The one moment you let me know, you linger in any moment and let me know I can bullshit, I'm gonna bullshit. I've always spoke to this. My wife, we had to reconvene at least 2 times, because the first time we got together, she was very intentional. When she realized we wasn't on the same page, she was out. And not only was she out, she did not linger. Women, you cannot linger. You cannot.
The only correction is leaving.
Yeah, but then I'm at least we can still be friends, or we can still talk on the phone, or I still help you with your taxes. No. Let me tell you how upset. Now, my feelings got a little hurt when it happened. We had broke up, and some months had went by, and my daughters had been there for the summer, came for the summer, and I needed somebody to I need to get my daughter's hair braided. Well, you know, my wife is a licensed cosmetologist. She does not do hair. She won't do hair now. That's in her young years, and she won't do it again. But I asked her, so I had her number still. So I reached out and said, hey, you know, could you, I need to get the girl's hair braided. Could you recommend somebody, or blah, 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 or, you mind doing it, whatever. She gave me a recommendation or something, if I can remember, but then she rebuffed me real quick. She said to me, you can use Google. You can use anything else you want. You don't reach out to me to go find somebody who can do your girl's hair. We ain't friends. We not buddies. Like she made it clear that either we were together or we weren't. And the level of respect I had obviously led us to where we got to today. And so you gotta have those standards. You gotta maintain that. You gotta toe that line. You can't let men linger, because you'll never end up, you know, in a situation that's ideal, that actually lasts, and that's actually worth something.
And that's important to hear, because you know what that was that she demonstrated? Emotional discipline.
Yeah. She went and cried in the car. She did, like, she went and cried in the car and pulled off.
Yeah.
Did not circle the block.
It might have hurt, but she didn't act on her hurt.
You can't.
Like, she preserved her respect. And if she didn't respect you, she wouldn't even told you.
And men respect that. Men
respect that.
We were like, damn.
We correct ourselves based on the level of respect that a woman is willing to preserve for herself.
Absolutely. But damn, she wasn't playing with me, boy. She cut my ass off, man. God damn, you know.
I'm in my too.
She gotta stay, yeah.
And that's what I'm ultimately, like, all of my commentary comes back to people that fit the behavior. Like, you wouldn't have even been in that conversation if she wasn't a disciplined woman. That's what attracted her to.
Oh, absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? Like, we're not talking enough or highlighting enough the disciplined women that don't cause us the issues that
yeah, bro. I'm glad you mentioned that. There has to be a conscious effort to highlight or give examples of women and men that represent the ideals that we say we want. You know what I'm saying? Because again, going back to we don't want to, you know, give the red pill too much airtime, but you know, they spent nothing but time banging on and dunking on everything that they don't want, right? And I've always said I didn't spend a lot of time doing that because my interactions weren't there with that. Not saying I won't address it, but I didn't spend a lot of time doing it.
I didn't have the same experiences.
Yeah, I didn't have that experience, but so I saw a lot of the experiences with a lot of the quality sisters that was like I knew, boy, when I was dating, I knew who I could and couldn't play games with. I knew they exist. It's a lot of them out there. They don't get highlighted. Those sisters don't get highlighted. But you know what I do see? I see them. I see a lot of them popping up engaged. I see a lot of those types every year, couple of months a year. I see engagements all the time. All the ones that I see engaged, I'm not surprised. Ain't even a shock.
No, and when I highlight the emotionally undisciplined woman, and this is why I say definitions are so important. I'm talking about the threat. You can't define a threat if you don't define the behavior. Because we're not saying all women are your enemy, just like all men aren't our enemy. Most men and women want to ally with each other.
Yeah.
Because once we examine the capability of each other, most men that are married got married male friends.
Oh, yeah.
Most women that have respect for men are already married to that man that they respect.
Yep.
And those men and women come from families that's built off of love, not lust.
Yep.
The people that's left on the other side of that discussion are generally not raised in households where marriage was valued. So there's a different disparity.
Yeah.
In the respect for the opposite gender. Most of the people that fit the negative behavior that that neither gender can stand come from the single mother household demographic.
Yep.
Because that's just it. You can only behave in the regular world the way you've been indoctrinated in your home life. You can be trained. You can overcome certain things. Not dismissing that at all. But we're talking about probability versus possibility. And probability is rooted in your discipline and your ability to assess a situation and whether or not it's going to be dangerous or not. Because we're living in volatile times where we've seen people snap off for little or nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Man, and the volatility is also related in the fact that being able to recover from mistakes made at a young age are not as likely as they used to be. Man, if you were an adult in the 80s, the chance to course correct and get it fixed without society and the economy ruling you out, you had a long time to recover. So if you was a 20-year-old in 1980, you could bullshit around for 20 years. You could get away with it. If you were 20 in the 90s, you probably got about a 50. Each passing generation, that bullshit time goes down because this world is requiring such a resume to actually function out here and be successful consistently to get what you want. You know, there used to be a time where you didn't have a background, like people that are going to get jobs now, right? When you go get a job, you got a resume. If you got a gap in your resume, they want to know why is there a gap in your resume? And
where did the gap come from?
Why is that? You know, so you don't have the same playtime now that we and we know this. Like, okay, being in the service, you know, the armed forces changed their rules and regulations based on who did what in the past. So the young people now can't get away with what we got away with 20 years ago. And then you take it and you keep going further and further back. Now you don't hear cursing. They don't use profanity in training. They don't hit you in training, like physically assault you. They don't. They could at one point. So the era, the room for error starts getting slimmer and slimmer and slimmer as time passes, which means we got to have these conversations so that somebody young will get it, or somebody older it'll sink in there and they'll pass it off to somebody young so they can course correct fast enough to still be a contributing member of society. That's just we have to do it like that. Gotta address it. So all the blame is on single mother, and the man that was part of that gets none of the heat. Okay, y'all got it. Yeah. So look, let me address that one. So all the blame is on the single mother, and the man that was part of that gets none of the heat. All right. So look,
let me give you the floor. Let me get out the way.
No. Look. The man who is out here making a bunch of single mothers, he absolutely gets the heat. He absolutely is a problem. He absolutely needs to be stopped. But there is one group of people that can stop that man. Only one. And it ain't men. There's one group that can stop men from creating single mothers. One group. You know who that group is? You guessed it. Women. They can stop all men from creating, and I say 99%, because we're gonna remove assault. We're gonna remove that. We're talking about most single mothers are made out of decisions to lay with a dude, and she's got pregnant. And it's an adult decision if you make it as adulthood, and if you make it in adolescent. Teen pregnancy is way down, so we ain't got to blame a bunch of teenagers. It's a choice for a woman to sleep with a man, and if she ends up pregnant and take that baby to term, yes, like we can blame the man for not marrying her first, 100%. But the one person who can shut that down and stop that from ever even being a possibility, it is the woman. Require marriage. End of it. It ends it. Like now not being a divorcee, but we're talking about like my man said, we're talking about some single grandma, single mom, single granddaughter. Never been married. What's the common denominator in all that? Somebody got to stop the cycle. And it can't be the great granddaughter saying, well, I'm going to go lay with a man before I get married. And hopefully he decide to marry me after we had a baby or while I'm pregnant and stuff. If she does that, she's a fucking idiot. If she don't look at her past and say, I seen grandma, auntie, and all them, and none of them were married, and all of them got them babies, I'm gonna be married before I have my baby. That ends it. Done. We're not talking about divorcees. We're not talking about widows. We're talking about those that don't even come from marriage. Yeah, that's all. That's my response to that. And yeah, like dudes that are random dudes that are just out here dropping it off in everything aimlessly. Come on, yeah. We know they ain't shit. Like we know they ain't, but we cannot. You can't stop them. You cannot stop them unless y'all really want to get bold and extreme and put devices in people that control them from reproducing. Period. Unless y'all really about that life. Well, what do we want to do? Y'all want to give males vasectomies at the age of right after puberty? Y'all want to do that? Y'all want to do that? Y'all want to give males vasectomies and put women on a device birth control that they got to go get legally removed? We can do that. I am about that life. So that's what I would say the resolution is. If you don't want to take responsibility on the side of women or men, nobody want to take personal responsibility. All right, let's go to devices. Let's go to eugenics. Let's do it. I'm about it. I would sign off right now, 100%. Matter of fact, the next person run for president, if that was in their address, I'm gonna set up something to where we make it to where you gotta legally get permission to procreate. Sign my black ass up right now. I don't care what the president look like. I don't care what race he is. I don't care if that's what they own, he or she. I'm voting.
Fair. Look, let me address this too. Okay, so all the blame is on single mothers, and the man that was part of that gets no heat. No, he get heat too. But this is where I come with a solution. In addition to what Brother Manuel said, women need to stop having raw sex before marriage, especially with men that's been raised by women. It's really that simple. If the man daddy wasn't married and he didn't see married parents in his own home, if he didn't see his dad respect his mother, protect his mother, cover his mother within marriage or even a long-term relationship, don't give your body to him raw. Okay, that's fair. The men that get that type of heat, they already getting the worst heat. Most of them locked up. Most of them in the street. Most of them moving like the behavior that most of the women can't stand, but they still get pregnant by these men. As a matter of fact, here's a video.
I got 7 kids and 7 baby mamas. Now, for the past few days, I've been going live telling my story, speaking my truth. And a lot of women having an issue calling me a deadbeat because I tell them I was being irresponsible, not wearing protection. But I always tell these women that I got pregnant that I do not want to be a father to these children. And I offer to pay for the abortion. Majority of times, they'll either take the abortion or they'll take a plan B. But only these 7 have kept these children. But the crazy thing about it is they want me to be responsible for some children I told them I did not want. So for some years now, some of them been trying to get in contact with me, access denied, because I don't really know why you trying to get in contact with me. I done told you I did not want them kids. So don't expect me to be responsible financially, emotional, spiritually, mentally, or physically with some kids I do not want. And I don't give a fuck Would nobody think about it? You're not going to force children up on me. Yeah, we both made the decision to lay down and have intercourse. We both was irresponsible about the decisions we made that night. Yeah, I could have pulled out, but I didn't. And I ain't care to pull out because I'm not the one that's going to have to carry a baby for 9 months. It's the woman. In my opinion, women should be more careful on who they sleep with. Because you're going to be like, one of my baby mamas trying to find me so I can financially support a kid I done told her or them I did not want. Another thing is, these just jump offs. These the type of women that I ain't even had to do nothing for. The bare minimum, but they gave me access to their body and they think I want to be a father to a child for one of them? Like, I don't even have no type of love for these women. How do they expect me to love these children? Before y'all say, oh, he irresponsible, he a deadbeat, he don't take accountability. Yeah, I do. I just don't give a fuck. You ain't gonna force these children on me when I told you I ain't want them. Yeah, I can offer to pay for abortion, but at what point can I force a woman to go get an abortion? I cannot. A woman say, my body, my choice, but I say, it's my life, my choice. Before y'all try to stitch this shit and be like, black men this, black men that, I don't give a fuck. I really don't.
So
what are we supposed to do about him? What are we supposed to do about that guy?
Yeah, what are we supposed to do about him? And here's the thing too. Who do you think raised him?
It wasn't his daddy.
He was raised by a naked mama. He was raised by his mama was naked all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't raised by his daddy. This is why I say women should not give their bodies to men that have not been raised by men, unless they have healed in a way through therapy, training, repetition, all of that to negate that particular outcome. The gender war is only going to end when we do proper vetting of who should be laying down with who. You know what I'm saying? Like aristocrats, oligarchs, they already had their children mapped out through arranged marriage about who's going to reproduce with who, because it was based on outcomes and projections.
Right.
The emotional element, the lack of emotional discipline or adherence to policy changed that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, you can't say it's my body, my choice, and then blame the men that you slept with. You chose him. You picked him. Just like if a man got a bad baby mama or a bad co-parenting experience, bro, you got to eat it.
Yo. So I'm gonna flip this that way. And I know, Stuffy has heard me. She knows. I don't allow men to sit around me and complain about their baby mama.
No.
There's not a man on this planet who I'm willing to see him complaining about women, his baby mama on social media, and I'm like, man, these women ain't shit. You right, man. You chose her, bruh. You chose her. You don't get to complain. You don't
say that all the time. You don't want to hear about your baby mama.
Yeah, you don't get to complain about nothing. What you get to do is acknowledge that you fucked up. And bro, I ain't gonna make this mistake again. Bro, I don't care what I do. Bro, I don't care what I do. I'll never do this again. That's how you vent. See, among masculine men, the only way you really get to vent is if you acknowledge that what you did was wrong in the start of it and say, bro, I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
And we be like, what you talking about, bro? Man, I took that drive, man. I knew I ain't had no license. I knew my license was suspended, man. I got locked up, man. And man, I'll never do that shit again. You can't sit there, man. The law fucked up, man. They know good and well I had to get to work, man. My license was suspended. Yeah, I know it was suspended. But, man, I had to get to where I had to get to, man. They need to change the law to let niggas drive on suspended license just in case they get to work. I'm going to look at you and be like, bro, they're not changing the laws to work for you. You knew what it was before you did it, so you don't get to complain about it. It's the same way. It's the same way we say
It is.
Men can't complain about women on the other side. If a woman chooses that she don't want to keep the baby, whatever, bro, you don't got control over that. You don't got control either way. So you as a man can't control about that outcome. I've always said on the opposite side of that, and Chef, she know where I stand on this. Men, you got to protect your seed. Because the weakest moment, and I can say this as one that has been in the darkest situations. There's nothing scarier. There's nothing that's ever scared me in my life like a pregnancy scare from a woman that I didn't want to have a kid with. Nothing.
Ooh.
I have never felt that pain and weakness and that sick feeling, that helpless feeling, bro. Everything is wrong. Your body, like you instantly got to take a shit. The food don't taste right.
It's like you just got diagnosed. It's like you got diagnosed with some kind of illness.
Yes, bro. It's the worst. It's the worst. And all you can really do is hope that either A, that pregnancy test was wrong, and baby, can you take another one to be sure? Or B, maybe she's gonna agree with you with an outcome that benefits you. But one thing you know for sure is that you are powerless in that moment. So as a man, I have always said, you maintain maximum control of your seed. You never got to worry about that.
Yep. And you can't expect that from sexually undisciplined men.
You cannot
expect that. Like you can't expect that from sexually undisciplined women.
No,
because that is the point. Because I even say when people say, well, are you saying that single children raised by single parents shouldn't reproduce with each other? No, I'm saying that people need to do work on themselves and be honest about what they didn't have growing up and find mentors that can add value to that situation if that's what they want. And I'm also saying on another tier, if you were raised with your father and you're attracted to a man that was not raised with his, and you still have your father, that man you're attracted to needs to get closer to your father.
Absolutely.
And the other side is true. You need to find a way to get some masculine third-party mentorship in that situation. You know, everybody's seen Divorce in the Black, or at least the first 7 minutes of that with Megan Good. Okay, well, in the film, the people that have seen it, they sit back and look at it. Those children that woman raised were, you know what I'm saying, like Ma Barker. Do you remember Ma Barker on the cartoon?
Yeah.
This right here, this is what they raised, bro.
Yeah.
Like I don't care how you slice it. If you look at this picture and you put whatever face of whatever man that you've been attracted to that's been raised based off of this right here, this is what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
More oftentimes than not. That 30% that you brought up before when we was talking about obesity, that's in there somewhere. But this is the majority right here.
Yep.
And
man,
so this is very important to observe the way people were raised before you decide if you're going to lay down raw with them.
The thing is, man, and again, like Chef said, you know, so the blame is on all single mothers. Let me put it like this. Most men, especially if we talk about average men that don't actually have access to sex, right? Most men are average, and if you're an average man, you don't have access to sex consistently at no point in your life unless you got the money to pay for it. Let's just call it what it is, right? Mm-hmm. That's average. That's most average men don't have access to a willing partner consistently. Okay? That it's not always been like that, but that's the way it is right now.
Yep.
That age group is anywhere from 17 to 37. That's a large group of men. If tomorrow you gave all those men unlimited access, they would run wild. If all those men were told that for the next 48 hours, no, for the next week of your life, you can have sex with as many women as you want, as much as you want. Most of those men would run wild. So if you did that, who would be responsible for making sure those men stay in check? Now they can have sex with whoever they want as much as they want. What's the only thing stopping them from doing it? It's a willing participant. That's the only thing. A willing participant is always the only thing stopping a man from doing more. So if women stop being willing participants with the wrong types, that ends it. Like it ends there. It dies right there. Let
me put something else on there, right? 30% of men are married. All right. I want to highlight the men you can't blame. I'm gonna and then I'm gonna put the blame where the men you can blame. Okay, 30% of men are married. Roughly. 50% of men, 54% of men are childless and single. You can't blame them. You can't blame the married men. The remaining percentage of men, which comes up to 15%, are single fathers. Single fathers reproduce with single mothers because they both come from the same household. Single mothers make up 75% of the women that have children that produce 80% of the children. So 5 women are having sex with the same man because 75 divided by 15 is 5. So it's a 5-to-1 ratio. Who is responsible for that? The 15% of men? Yeah, sure. Or the 75% of women that got control and access to their body. You know what I'm saying? And generally speaking, they procreate together because they come from single mother households. Mm-hmm. Single mothers raise single mothers and single fathers and gays.
Man, and let me tell you, I personally know one a sister who has 3 kids by 3 different dudes, right? But here's the crazy. The first 2 children that she had were by dudes who came from the right stock. Those dudes, after they had that one baby with her, both of them have moved on, got married, got families with other women.
Yep.
See, even if the man comes from the and I'm the same way, and I didn't even need to include myself. I can include myself in that. Most men, when they have that moment of I had that kid, you know, I had that moment, you know, and I got a kid. If he comes from that stock, his course correction, he's not going to duplicate. He's not going to say, well, I already got one by a baby mama. Might as well go, you know, it ain't going to hurt if I have nothing. No. Because his family, all of them are going to be like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? Where you get that from?
Because where you get that from? That's what your daddy say.
Where you get that from?
That's why I know most of those men that go out here and make babies being broke and do the Nick Cannon, most of those men are not raised with their fathers.
Yeah.
Because your daddy gonna look at you crazy.
Yeah.
You know how much shame people that don't have a dad don't know how much shame a dad has on his son.
Man, boy, you get a reckless son out here and you know you ain't been reckless. It
hurt us so deep. Like my dad passed away in 2018. And I still know that I have a duty and service not to misrepresent the man that he raised.
Man, I go as far as to say, in my family, I can say this now. I got a firstborn. There are things that he can do if he misrepresents. I would absolutely, and he can be watching this and he knows this, so it ain't no shock. I would prefer he change his name depending on what he does.
Excommunicado. Like,
and I'll cry in the car, and I wish that it wasn't, but hey, bro, you can't like that.
It is what it is.
You cannot move like that.
I cannot treat you better than your behavior.
No, you cannot.
I cannot be an enabler.
God damn, I cannot treat you better than your behavior. Woo. Woo, woo.
People want correction, but they don't want to be. They want to be treated better than their behavior.
Yeah, you can't have both. That wouldn't be. You would again. It's not again. It boils back to for men. That's why I would say every boy needs to be punched in the face. He needs to have his eye blacked or his lip split because when you get punched in the face and that doesn't mean maybe you're gonna roll around and fight. Maybe you're gonna black out. But you need to get punched in the face as a result of something wrong. You talking shit. You and just get socked. Bah.
Look,
and go ahead.
I was about to say, when you grow up with a dad, that's the first time you realize somebody can whoop your ass.
Yeah.
You like I've met young men that say, I don't fear no man. I said, that's your problem.
Yeah. Because you didn't have no dad that put fear in you. Man, my dad said, man, let me tell you, my pop says, my pop says this to this day. He said, I thought my daddy would kill me. And he said, and I'll laugh. He's like, no, I'm not laughing. He said, I walked around believing that my daddy would kill me.
Yes.
Bro. My dad said my granddad told him one time, my grandmother was upset, crying, and my grandfather grabbed him up, snatched him up, put him up against the wall, and said, this woman only cries for one reason, and as if you done something to make her happy. If she crying for any other reason,
I'm fucking
I'll
you
end
up.
you.
I'll end you. Yep. Man, look, because there's a big difference in pissing your mom off.
Ooh.
And then upsetting his wife.
That's different. Two different things. Two different things.
And to you people that's watching this that might be disagreeing or saying that sounds like trauma or whatever, your life sounds like trauma to me.
So they don't understand why that is, because the reason that's built in and baked in like that man knows this boy gonna grow up and do what the fuck he want,
whatever he want to do, and I can't do nothing about it,
even if I do everything right. But this woman, this is who I'm doing life with. So so before you disturb her to the point where she can't function around me,
I will fuck you up.
Man, I remember, man, in my first marriage, my wife would come home because my kids would they'd get out of school and I'd be the first one home. And she would come in the house and the kids would take off their backpacks and shoes and leave them all over the place. And, I'm letting them kind of do what they want. And she'd come in there complaining, right? And then I remember at one point, I'm peeping the energy and how that's throwing everything off. When she come through this door complaining, now she's upset. She's got to come down from being upset. Where does that leave me in the grand scheme of getting what I want at the end? No. So I flip. I say, hey, whoa. Y'all better get this shit picked up. She ain't finna come here because no. She not. It takes that because she shouldn't have to come in and do all that fussing and cussing.
There's an enforcement dynamic. When she says something, you have been in a situation where your mama told you to do something, you was bullshitting, and your daddy say, hey, if I have to hear her say it again,
that's worse.
That's worse because he's been listening. Because he's been listening. Like,
boy.
And that's what I'm saying. Like when that wife that's also a mother has that backup of a father that's also her husband, the perception of relationship between man and woman and that dynamic and that respect for the opposite gender, it gets reinforced on a level that single parents or children that's raised by single parents can never understand.
Yeah.
If you never saw your mother get respected by your father, you don't understand what I'm talking about. You don't. And most of the people that I got the most conflict with on social media, well, they had the most conflict with my opinions and my lived experience and what I've seen, ears heard firsthand experience, most of them people that's motivated to disagree before they say, you know what, I'll take that perspective into consideration. Most of them raised by single mothers that they saw naked.
You always drop that. You always drop this.
Yeah. And on that note, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna get up out of here. You want to lead the audience with something before we get out of here, bro? I'm gonna
What'd you say?
Go ahead.
No. Hey man. I'm just a willing participant now, man. I ain't no star. I'm just a willing participant, man. I definitely enjoyed it, man. Yeah, man. This is a good show, man. Anytime. I'll come back, chop it up with you, talk shit. You know, sometimes I'm gonna be a little reckless in what I have to say, and I'm gonna push back when, you know, I slightly disagree or have a different perspective or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But having men that are coming from the same background, that, you know, that has order and discipline in it, and marriage and family values, it makes a difference. It absolutely makes a difference. You cannot get water from a stone. And that means you cannot get the values that you as men and women claim to prefer in partners from people that haven't been raised under marriage or participated themselves in marriage. You're not going to get that from them. I don't care how popular they are. I don't care how in the algorithm they are. If they ain't lived that life, tune out. Like really tune out. That's all I got to say.
Yo, this has been a great episode.
Yes, sir.
And you know, you got to deal with people that got lived experiences. You know, social media is for affirmations. It is an indicator. And although indicators are not absolute, they are absolutely indicators.
Yeah.
They give us reference points to have a discussion off of. Whether it's true or not only reflects what you can relate to. Just because you can't relate doesn't mean it's not happening.
Yeah.
Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it's not worthy of discussion. Just because it doesn't reflect in your personal life does not mean that other people do not experience it. This is a channel dedicated to social media literacy and objectivity, not your subjective emotions. I don't care about those, because the truth is people only care about folks that they can relate to. Everything else is fake caring.
Yeah.
And whether they want to accept that or not, that's not my problem. That's not my responsibility, because that's still the truth, whether you disagree with it or not. In fact, that's what the comments are for. You can disagree in the comments all you want to, but I said what I said from my perspective, just like everyone else does. So whether you agree or disagree, the conversation is still valuable. And this has been another episode of Beyond the Algorithm. And I'm your host, Victor Vincent. Like, share, and subscribe. Check the links in the comments. Go get the book, Accountable Masculinity. Follow Manuel Hill.
Yeah, I'm out here. Y'all catch me bouncing around on this here man's page, and, you know, saying, just, you know, if you like what you see in here, and, you know, my fun and shit talking and some of the extra shenanigans, yeah, feel free.
And it's done.
All right, brother. You have a good night, man.
You too.